I'm Utah. I study in University of Sussex, and I'm currently third year student working in Japan at the moment. But here I have Maureen doing ambassador in his country. He goes to Sheffield, and then he going to introduce himself now. Can
Yes,
you?
well,
Yeah.
as thank you, Utah. As he said, I'm studying in the University of Sheffield, and my degree of choice is aerospace engineering with private pilot instruction.
Yes, Marvin, thank you. That's really interesting. I forgot to mention what I study. I do international relations and development. And yeah, that's so far what that's what who we are.
Yeah, I believe we both first began in the international study centers of our universities, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. Because you know, that's where we go for the first year. I already finished ISC programs like years ago. But that was really great experience that prepared me to do well in actually actual programs in universities. And there's a lot of things I like about it, but I think I'm talking too much, so I'm gonna ask you, Murray, what did you like about it?
I think we should first explain to our audience what the ISC is. So,
Yeah,
for our audience over here, the ISC is sort of pre a year you take before you progress into the actual university. So for Taiwanese students, because we have 1 year less of high school, so we actually have to take this foundation year, and we take it in the International Study Center of the University of Sheffield. So I've just completed my foundation year in the University of Sheffield, IC, and I'll progress to the actual first year in Sheffield this September. So yeah, I really love my experience in the Sheffield IC. I think it was a really good way to ease myself into understanding what it's like to be in Britain. It's a lot better than just dropping headfirst right into the first year of uni, isn't it?
absolutely. I definitely think so. And I think I should mention about how the system works for Japanese students as well, because I didn't talk much about it, but it's yes, as Murray explained, it's much better than going straight to the university because that's like preparatory time for us. But it's gonna save our time and money because some students, let's say high school students, graduate from high school and if they do go to like vocational schools or other institutions, then they get a degree from there and they use that degree as a transfer degree to IC programs. They get to start from a program called International Year One, and if they're going to spend there for the first year there, then they move on to second year of university. Or students graduate high school directly can transfer to another programs called International Foundation Year. They going to take 1 year there, then they progress to the first year of a university. It's great as well as Murray explained. Um, the teachers are very nice and the environments are really engaging because the class size are much smaller. We get to talk to a classmate and a professor about our opinions really well. And that's something that we don't really have after we progress to the university. Don't you think so, Mervin?
I believe the University of Sheffield, we don't have international year one. So is that yeah, that's actually something. So the University of Sheffield, we only provide the foundation year. So this actually depends on uh every school. So yeah, I really think this is something. So it's actually mandatory for Taiwanese students. Is that also for Japanese students, or you can just decide whether you want to progress to university directly?
Um, it's I think very much depends on the situation. First of all, I didn't know that Sheffield didn't have international year one, but that's okay because it's the students who which university they wants to go. And in case of Sussex for Japanese students, or in case of Sussex with student with other nationalities, so they got to figure it out first, depending on what they want to do.
Oh yeah, yeah, it
And
depends on
yeah,
the school and I think like how well you did in high school.
yeah.
So I think let's discuss why do we choose to study in the UK. So actually, my reason for going to the UK was I was actually planning on going to Germany at first because I'm pursuing
Mhm.
an engineering degree, but I couldn't get my German to the specific requirement they had. So I had to choose to go to the UK, well, because they speak English. But I think it's actually a really good choice. Sheffield is actually the fourth rank ranks the fourth in aerospace engineering in the UK, and yeah, they also provide this pilot instruction course, which is just perfect for my career path. What about you, Utah?
Yes, so my case, I said I study international relations and development, and this is something I really wanted to do before I started thinking about studying UK because I was studying in community college before in the United States, and I did a lot of like science degrees and arts degree. They were so let's say like diverse in a ways of discipline. They didn't have one specific things I wanted to study, but when I combine these together, I thought, well, it can be used really well to organize my ideas. Then it can be worked as international relations because that's very much of a combination of things. And Sussex University ranked number one in the world for international development and ninth for international relations. So that was amazing offer for me that I couldn't not say no.
Oh, I didn't even know Sussex was number one in the world. That's really impressive.
Thank you. Not me, but Sussex University.
Yeah, yeah. Gotta thank all the people that came before us.
Yeah. What do you like about studying in your major because aerospace engineering is also what I used to study in the first year of community college. Then I'm really fascinated about technologies and airplanes. Can you tell me what you like about it?
I think honestly, it's just the planes that you get to it's just I really love, being able to learn how to build planes, rocket engines, figure out all the aerodynamics because I'm also a fan of Formula One. So it's also
Mhm.
really interesting to learn about that. Uh, and so that's the aerospace part, and then the private instruction part. I think that's really cool because you not only get to learn how to build a plane, you get to learn how to fly them. So our school actually has like flight simulators, and eventually we'll be taken to the Yorkshire Air Base to have like private pilot training. So I think it's just really cool. We get to have all we get to learn everything that's plane related. Yeah.
That's really fantastic. Wow. So in your free time, do you like to spend your time watching Formula Ones or think more about airplanes, or you actually don't have much time to do your free things? Do you study a lot?
Uh yeah, I do watch Formula One when during my free time. I haven't really been able to do anything aerospace specific in my free time in Sheffield. I've been pursuing other hobbies in Sheffield. So something over in Sheffield, I've been learning how to do fencing. I've also been hiking a lot around Sheffield. Yeah, that's what I've been mainly doing. Not much aerospace related, but I'm hoping to change that by like joining some space initiative societies in Sheffield when I go back in September.
Mm.
What about you? So what do you usually do in Sussex? I know it's really close to the coast, uh, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. It's indeed really close to the coast. And then, well, as you say, I really like hiking too. I'm really a nature person. I'm a mountainside of nature person, but also, but they have a lot of nice beaches. So I feel, bad if I feel like it's taking for granted if I didn't get to go to the beaches. So exploring myself really well. Then there is a place that's really close to our campus called Seven Sisters. It's a national heritage place. It's have you heard of the Seven Sisters before?
I have not. What'd you say? It was a national heritage site?
Yeah, I think it's called national heritage. For example, like Grand Canyon is
Oh,
national.
yes, yes, yeah. Well, I
Yes,
actually have not heard of that yet. Yeah, what is
yeah.
it like?
It's like a white cliff that's cut it like perpendicular to the ocean, so
Yeah.
90 degrees, and you're really, really tall. It's about 100 meters, and then you can go walk to the edge. So you can start walking from a station called Seafold Station, which is 30 minutes from Falmouth Station, where the campus is. And you take train there, and you start walking, and then gradually the hill moves up. Then, well, that's like, really close to the beach.
Yeah.
Then well, and then when you realize after you're walking for like an hour, you're on the top of the hill, and then right next to you there is just a cliff, and you can see all like the walls, the wide oceans. They're pretty scary,
So
but
you mean like it's just a
yeah,
straight cliff and then goes down and that's the ocean?
yeah,
Well, that sounds really, really cool.
it is
Uh,
really cool place.
yeah, so for me, we actually have like a national park between Sheffield and Manchester, and that's where I
Mm,
usually do all my hiking. Uh, yeah, I think we have a really different, I think Sussex and Sheffield is a really different taste of the nature, isn't it? Like, so I'm
yes.
deep in the mountains and you're like next to the coast. Yeah.
I like to add one more thing about Sussex, not bragging about Sussex or anything, but just
Oh
sort
no,
of
it's not bragging where it's promotional.
yes,
Yeah.
it's promotion exactly. Well, Sussex University actually has its campus in National Park.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, actually, only university in UK that has campus in National Park. Yeah. So I
Well,
felt
that's
bragging
really
like
cool.
after you mentioned about National Park. But
Ah,
it's really cool. It's not really like, national park that we think of because,
hmm.
there's a lot of tree, of course, but it's also like downs without trees. So you see miles away a field um without trees also. It looks like Windows screensavers.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what it's like in the Peak District as well. Like a lot of the times when
Oh,
you're hiking, you never see trees. It's just plains, but like hills and
yeah.
plains like that. I think let's actually start discussing so our experience in the ISC. All right,
Yeah.
so our journey of entering the ISC, our IELTS, GPA, all those. So what was it like for you to having to achieve these requirements for the International Study Center?
That felt amazing because that my scores in Affinity College and English proficiency being admitted by the IC Center means that the start of the journey, which I can pursue my dream of studying international development in a place number one in the world. So I got really, really excited and yeah, it felt amazing. What about you, Morgan?
I actually had a kind of a hard time getting my math requirement for my foundation year, really. I Yeah, at that time I was 1 point away, 1 point below the requirement degree, the degree requirement. So it was I had to like study very hard during the like last month of my high school year.
Mm-mm.
Otherwise, it was pretty smooth for me. So the IELTS, it went all fine. It was just that. So to all the listeners out there, you have to make sure that even from the start of high school, you have to pay attention to your grades, because for our foundation degrees, we look at the year one and year two. Year three, if you decide to go at, if you decide to progress to Sheffield, uh, after the entirety of high school. Yeah. So I think GPA, that's really important as well as the IELTS. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, for Japanese listener, if they were here, studying high school really well is really important. and GPA really matters. That help you to transfer to IC programs really well. They I used my score I obtained in community college because my high school uh, um, level and then what's called the points were not great enough, right? So that I studied pretty much well in community college, and that's how I got to transfer to IC programs. And I didn't have a math programs. The only thing I struggled with was IELTS actually. I
Uh,
couldn't, yes,
how
the
much was your
writing.
requirement? You were doing like a pre-masters, weren't you?
I was doing bachelor degree
Oh,
for,
okay.
yeah,
Oh, so you were also
5.5.
doing the like uh did you do international year one or foundation year in
I
Sussex?
did I did international year one actually.
Uh so what
Yeah.
was the IELTS requirement for you?
IELTS requirements for international year ones and international foundation years are different. International year one students requires to have 5.5 overall and minimum 5.5 for writing section. And if the student going to international foundation year, they need to have 5.0 and 5.0 minimum for writing. Is that same for you too?
I think our foundation year requirements are 5.5 overall, but they've changed it since I went in, so the audience over here might have to double check. Yeah, so
Mm,
what's your class size like? In the Sheffield International College, we usually get around like 20 people per class. And we'll switch around classes for different subjects. So you get to meet a lot of people, not just those 20 people. So my class size, yeah, it was 20 people, and there was also another one for math and another one for physics. What about you?
for me, it was a class in terms of class size. I had people around me. I counted before. I think 12 to 13 students, not including me. And we also take, the modules like all together with the same students. I didn't have any modules that I share who with students who pursue different majors. I guess computer, like aerospace engineering, do have some similarities so that computer science students and engineering students do take some classes.
Yeah, well, because I was in the science and engineering pathway. So it
Yeah.
wasn't just aerospace students. And there were like, as you said, computer science, structural engineering, uh,
Mm,
all of those. And we'll have basically just English, physics, math, and coding class. Yeah, those
mm.
were the four classes we had
What was the
for all engineering student. Excuse me,
mm,
what did you say?
yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. I was gonna ask you, yeah, what was the hardest class for you
I would
among
actually say it was the English class.
oh really?
Yes, because for our academic English class, we actually had to do a lot of projects during these 2 semesters, and
Mm,
one of them was to write a 1,500 word essay. And prior to that, prior to going to uh, Sheffield, I've never really did anything similar because, like, for the IELTS test, it's just training to describe a photo, and I've never really learned how to write an academic paper. So I think that's actually the hardest part. Otherwise, I think the physics and math was around the first year of high school for Taiwanese level. So we already
mm,
learned that in Taiwanese high school, so it wasn't that hard. The hardest was actually the English. Yeah. What about you?
yeah, I was thinking about it. What was the hardest subject for me while you were talking about it? And then, yes, it reminds me of my English test as well. So, well, international foundation year or either international year one students do have 2 semesters. And then in each semesters, they have to take English classes. They have no choice. They have to do this. Then, well, that's final semester at international year one, I have to do one project called coursework 3, CW3.
Oh,
That's
we
going to
had
be
that as well. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it was
Mine
the
was also called
essay.
Coursework 3.
Yeah, coursework 3. That was coursework 1 and coursework 2 was really interesting. Coursework 1 was about I think gathering informations and present how you
Yes,
organize
a
it.
source report, wasn't it?
Yes, source report. Then coursework 2 was to do the poster presentation, I think, in the
Yeah, I
class.
had that as well.
Coursework 3 was actually about writing an essay, and writing essay was really challenging for me as well. It's very different, the system they use in the United States, the essay style, and UK essay style has a really particular formal style that follows really nicely, organized, so the reader will understand the contents really well. But in order to get used to it, I had to practice really well, and I had to communicate to the professor in my classrooms. Yes, it was really difficult for me, but I passed. That's why, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think it really prepared us for uni, doesn't it? Because you have to write even more papers like that, and it's really hard if you didn't have anyone to teach you how to write it, right?
Mm, mm,
Uh,
exactly. But
so
yeah.
yeah. What were
Oh,
you saying?
sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was gonna say, for those students listening this coursework 3 frightening story, don't have to worry about it because it's just to mentally prepare us, like almost how to say in a slang, like mend up us, so to feel like we get to ready to go to the university
Yeah,
second year, third year progressively, so that we don't have, let's say, you know, shocking moment.
yeah. It's to sort of like lessen the shock we get, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes.
So, what about the teaching style? Did you have any sort of culture shock about the teaching styles, the difference between like Japan, America, and the UK? Because I definitely did. I was really surprised when I went to Sheffield because all our professors expected us to read the course material before class. So they would give us all the slides, the questions, and tell us which part of the textbook they'll be teaching, and they expect us to already complete all that before every class. So that was actually something I had to get used to, which was to study by myself before every class. What about you?
Mm. So, well, among all those three schools I've studied before, the one that's made me focus the most about the materials or the modules, the classes, is that the style of International Study Center in yes, University of Sussex for me, because as you said, yeah, we have to read materials before the class so that we get to prepare and then we understand what professor talking. I have heard about doing these styles of teachings once we get to go to the 4-year university in the United States, so that um let's say it in a way that's more intense, but in a way that's more what's the word traditional ways of teaching academic. So I was excited to learn in the way. Yeah.
So, do you like the way they teach? Do you think it was easier to learn in the way
Mm,
they teach in the IC?
yes, absolutely. I think so because reading about the materials the textbook uh because especially I do international relations and development, it's heavily focuses on like case studies and empirical examples and researches, and then it's critical to understand the contents before the classes so that professor wouldn't explain things from the beginning, but like start to start like conversations thinking that we know some of the contents already, right? So that it's really important, but engaging.
Yeah. I think personally, I personally think that for me, the way they teach in Taiwan and in the study center, I think I learn as efficiently as in Taiwan and in the UK. But in the UK, this teaching style, it teaches you how to be independent. You know, you're not just receiving information, you have to find it. Yeah, so I
Mm,
think that's really what the most important thing about the teaching style in Sheffield was that you had to learn how to be an independent learner. Yes.
mm,
So
exactly.
yeah, let's move on to the topic of our UK experience. So we already mentioned a little bit about our hobbies in Sheffield
Mm.
and Sussex. So yeah, what do you think about Sussex, the city itself?
So Sussex campus is in a city called Brighton. Brighton is located at the bottom of at the most south of islands of UK. 1 hour 30 minutes away, 1 hour away from London, depending on train they take. It's amazing place. They have beach, as I mentioned. They have mountains. But when I say about these, people think it's well, that's a lot of nature, but probably pretty inconvenient place. Too much nature, not much cities. That's not true. It has a lot of them. We even have like 5 Starbucks, Apple Store. I think Sheffield also has that too, but it's
Actually, no, we don't have an Apple store. Yeah.
oh really?
Yeah, the thing about Sheffield is that it's the size of a big city. It's the size of a medium-sized city, so it's not like London or Manchester.
Mm,
But it's also like a town, so we don't really have a fancy street, you know, like uh was it Oxford Street in London? We don't really have that. So if you want to go to some sort of fancy Apple stores like that, you actually have to take the tram to a to a shopping mall that's outside of Sheffield, but it's pretty close. It's like 30 minutes. So yeah, I
mm,
think it's more like a small town. We wouldn't have like those fancy shops. Yeah.
mm,
But as it's also I think the way I put it, it sounds like it's a rural countryside little town, but it's also not like that. It's the fifth biggest city in the UK. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like a very cozy town. Yeah.
I think if I go to Sheffield, it may be a difficult position to choose which city I will like more because I like trams. They got train. Brighton has a train, but
Yeah.
I think trams, it's something that I haven't seen in my life before much.
Oh, you
Yes,
mean you have like trains that go to London or
yes.
oh, but you don't have trams. So yeah, yeah, we do have a tram system in Sheffield that goes yeah, that just crosses in the middle of the city and it goes all the way to so to the north of Sheffield, we have a very large mall. And then it goes all the way down to the south of, I'm not even sure. I've never taken it that way, but yeah, it's really convenient in Sheffield because we have trams, we have buses, as well as trains that go to other cities.
Mm. What do you take to school from where you live?
The thing is, I actually live 3 minutes away from the International Study Center, so
That's
I live right
amazing.
next to it. So I don't actually have to take any sort of public transportation to school. Even around Sheffield, everything is within walking distance. So anything under 30 minutes of walking is walking distance. Yeah,
Mm.
so I don't really actually have to take buses or trams. The only the only time I take public transportation is when I visit other cities or go to the mall. Yeah, that's the only time. What
That's
about
it.
you?
Yeah, I live in a place a bit far from campus actually, so I take train 2 times. Yes,
Oh, really?
I take train first from the train station is really close from my home. It's let's say 3 minutes away. It's really close. If I run really fast, it's 30 seconds. I always say this. And I take train from there and go to Brighton station. It's just one stop away and 3 minutes, 5 minutes. then from Brighton Station to Falmouth Station, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 stop away. It's 10 minutes, so total takes 15 minutes if I don't wait at all on the platform, but I usually do for about 5 minutes, so it takes 20 to 30 minutes to school from where I live.
Oh, that was actually closer than I think because in Sheffield we do have like a student village a
Mm.
bit far away from campus. Most of the freshers live over there, and it takes around 15 minutes of walking to get to the center of campus.
Oh, that's really
Yeah, it's
gross.
really
That's
far.
like
I didn't choose to live over there. But yeah, if you're in the city center, everything's within walking distance, which is really, really convenient. Yeah.
sorry, Moby, you said this freshers do live 15 minutes away? 50.
50, yeah, 50.
Oh, that's far. That's pretty far. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so when
Oh,
I heard that you had to take a train, I was like, wow, are you living in
mm,
a different city? So do the students in Sussex usually live so far away from school? Or is it just like
no,
for the foundation students or
um, so I didn't live in the accommodation at all in my university life, except one time I lived in summer, just for 3 months. Uh, that's where I live now at the moment is actually not apartment, not accommodation. That's homestay. I'm doing homestay actually at the
oh
moment.
really? So you're living
Yes,
with a British family.
yes, I do live with British family, and then it's amazing experience. I have the best. I did host family a lot, but they're the best host family, so amazing, really. Yeah, so they have a house there, and don't think many students live around where I live. I have met few, only few.
So
Yeah.
usually other Sussex students will live closer to school.
Usually students would choose to live near schools, usually I think, but other type of students would like to live more close to the city so that they will have a convenient life there. Uh, yeah, but we have also lots of accommodations that not only University of Sussex, we have Brighton universities and other schools, and they all live in the same student accommodation things.
Yeah, so
Yes.
basically, if you want to live next to the city or if you want to live close to the school, it's all up to you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's just really up to them. So freedom of choice they have. Yeah.
So, what do you like about your school life uh, in
Mm.
Sussex?
Sussex, what I like the most is that, well, there's a many things I like about it, but if I only choose one, is that the time I actually study in the place on the campus, there's one building called Student Center on campus, not really far. It's like middle of the campus location is.
Is it like the
And,
student union?
mm, we have student union in the other place
Oh, so it's
on the other
something
side of the
else.
campus. And something else. It's just big buildings with lots of chairs and desk, and they have vending machines. They have Amazon store inside and kitchens. So they have a lot of equipment for studies, and the students go there to study, to talk, to eat, and very much for anything. It's just like open space. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. We don't really have something like that in Sheffield. Usually, if we study, we'll choose to go to the libraries.
Mm, mm. A lot of people still go to library too because studying student center can be very distractive with
Oh yeah,
talking
yeah,
voices. Yeah, but it depends on the type of the study they want to do. I like to study while eatings and drinkings and communicating.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's great for
yeah,
group projects, right?
exactly. It's great for the group projects. Mm, we have a library too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just don't go much. Yeah.
Well, personally, I really like how much activities there are in Sheffield. So we have a
Mm,
bunch of clubs and societies. our student union also hosts a lot of events.
Yeah.
So there's what I like about being in Sheffield is that there's always something to do, you know, or
Mm,
and also how close it is to nature. So, like I
yeah.
said, a third of Sheffield is actually in the Peak District, and the Peak District is like the first ever national park that was created in the UK. Yeah, so there's just a bunch of things to see there. There's like uh canyons, there are lakes, there's castles. Yeah, a lot of things.
Wow. Is there any camping place there? I wish to go there one day. It's really intriguing.
I think so. I think so. Yeah. So I do have a couple of friends from Saudi Arabia that said they'll camp during the summer. So I'll probably ask them about it when I go
Yeah.
back to Sheffield. Yeah.
Do you know what other students, not only us, but a lot other students, international students or local students would do in Sheffield when they have free time?
Uh, well,
I
most of my
personally like
friends
camping.
there
Yeah,
are Arabs, so they would play a lot of soccer. I mean football. They'll play a lot of football over there. And
yeah.
well, it really depends because there's so much to do. Not everyone really does. There's not a specific thing that people would do. Yeah.
Um, Interesting. Because very much like that. I wonder what they do because it's hard to know also students in Sussex are doing when have their free times because there are so many things they do, not only just go to campings, go to beach. For sure they go to beach in a hot day, sunbathing. Yeah, but well, the moral of story is that there's just not like one or two things to do. It's because it's there's a lot of things to do, and
Yeah,
that's what makes a sport. Yeah.
there's a large variety in universities.
Yes. What's the most like shocking things in a good way, like surprising things that happened or there in Sheffield for you?
The most surprising thing I found
Yes.
out, you mean like about academically uh or like so living over there? What's the most
Uh,
surprising?
to me, so far from based on the information I heard, most surprising things about Sheffield is that how close your accommodation is to the campus. That's amazing. But
Oh
obviously
yeah,
you see more things.
I really
Yeah.
take that for granted. So like we would have 30 minutes break and I can just rush back to my dorm and grab something. So yeah, yeah. And like for 1 hour long breaks, I can just go back to my dorm to like take a nap, really. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I really take that for granted. Um, but even for my when I go back in September, I only live around 10 minutes away from the engineering building. Yeah,
Wow.
it's all really close because uh, I think if you live inside the city center, you're around the furthest you can be is like 20 minutes away from where you want,
Mm,
from where you study. Yeah, so um, I think that is something surprising for a
mm,
Sussex students. I'm also really surprised that you have to take a train to school and that you're allowed to live with a homestay family.
mm. Well, my case is actually a rare case. Not many people, students would do homestay, but
Yeah, I think that's the first time
yeah,
I've ever heard of it.
really.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, there's only actually handful of people around me too. Only three or four. Yes, there was a few things I was going to ask. Yes, I'll remember. Is that so convenient? It is. Your accommodation in Sheffield is that because it's in city center? Does that mean it's hard, painful to ask about? Is that expensive?
Uh, it's around 150 pounds per week, which is around the
150.
average of accommodations. You know, the thing I noticed about Sheffield is that the school accommodations themselves are more expensive than like third party, like Unite Students or um other companies that have their own accommodations. Yeah, so
Mm,
that's why I actually moved out. But
mm,
otherwise, the accommodation that I lived in, the one that the international college provided, it wasn't that expensive. It is now, but at the time it was pretty average. Yeah.
mm, I see.
So,
Is that,
oh yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say, was that clean or you liked it?
It was pretty clean.
Destination.
So,
Yeah.
everyone got an ensuite. Everyone has an ensuite room.
Mm.
We get our own bedroom, our own uh bathroom,
Bathroom?
but the kitchens are shared. So we had to share that with six other international students. Yeah.
Same, 6 other students within the summer, yes.
So I think whether it's clean or not really depends on whether your roommates are clean or not. Yeah.
Mm. So this is like um not really a tips, but something that I learned through the time being international students for 6 years. Um, it's not about the place they live, it's about the people they live.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, not really
Exactly.
the place, it's the people they live. Yeah, that matters the most. So be careful or and know friends first and then ask them to live in next years or for the four following years will be amazing. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So
For
like,
listeners, yes, for advices.
yeah. Uh let's move on to the next question. So can
Yeah.
you remember what it's like when you first arrived to the UK? So for
Um,
me,
yeah.
it was like it was just like traveling, really, because I uh it was like visiting another European city. Like
Oh,
for me it was like that. It was very fun. It was just
what's
like
that?
because I arrived a week before my courses began, so every day it was just waking up, looking on Google Maps, finding something to visit, and then trying to find my way there without getting lost. Yeah.
Mm, well, there was two things I was gonna ask. And the first question is that was that your first time alighting UK? And the second question is that uh, there were other students asking me how much day I should have to alive in UK before starting their programs.
That was yeah, the first time I went to the UK alone without my family, but I was lucky
Um,
because I had another friend that was also going to Sheffield, so we went there together. So I think that was what made it a lot more easy for me to transition into life over there. And I would recommend students to arrive a minimum of a week before their course starts. So
mm,
probably longer than 7 days. 7 days, honestly, 7 days is fine. Yeah, 7 days
mm,
before your course begins. Yeah.
okay. I got this question. Well, to me, I like UK. How many days prior before it was maybe 2 or 4 days before prior to the program before it start. But some people would worry arriving there too early because well first of all we get there for the first time to the city we've never been before. Then it could be scary.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is. Especially if
And
you don't have any friends over there. So,
yeah, then what they do
oh, that
is
is
just
something you have to consider, don't you? Like how many
yeah,
days can you handle without not meeting anyone? Yeah.
exactly. And then the university programs will help them anyways to their life transition to their new cities, right? So that well either they can do it for themselves before without any help, or they should arrive on time for the programs, then let the programs do it for them. But I think it's also depends. Like you said, you went with your friends, but yeah, but that's definitely something that a lot of people would think about it, and also not themselves, but the parents as well, I think.
Yeah, so I think our consensus is around 7 to 2 days. 7 if you're with family or friends and want some time to visit the city. 2 if you're
Mm,
going alone and you just want to like go there and just begin university. You don't want that time period where you don't know anyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yes, I have another question to ask. Is that okay?
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Is there anything that you forgot to bring to UK? Like, will
Is
you
there
open your bag?
something
Yeah, and then you
I
notice,
forgot
oh
to
my
bring?
God, I forgot my, the brick for the charger.
Uh, I don't think so. Because I
No?
was pretty well prepared. I didn't bring much clothes at all, so I had like two large suitcases, two 29-inch suitcases, and one was like half of it was my clothes and like pillow blankets, and the other one was just like all the stuff I needed. So
You
I was
brought your
pretty
pillow.
well prepared. I was pretty well prepared, but I was also kind of wearing, I had like 5 days of clothes and I will repeat that. So like I think it's kind of a trade-off, but yeah. The only thing I forgot to bring were actually gloves because it got really cold and I needed gloves. That was the only thing I really forgot, I think. Yeah.
So you spend your few weeks without warm jackets?
It was fine at that time because I got there at September. It's pretty fine. I could wear a t-shirt outside with shorts and but when it got to like December, when it was December, yeah, you really need gloves at that time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the only thing I forgot to bring, really. Yeah.
Mm.
What about you?
Ah,
I feel like you
mm.
you it sounds like you forgot something, didn't you?
No, it's not something that I forgot, but I thought when I looked at the shape of the outlet for the charging, right? It was
Oh,
very,
you
yeah, yeah. I had it. I had it. Luckily, I just had one socket of the brick that adapted to any shapes in the
yeah.
world. It was really cheap, just 10 pounds or something. But it wasn't just enough. One wasn't just enough for me. I need one for my phone, one for my laptop, one that's next to my bed for charging something else, like, AirPods, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, so you didn't realize that they use two prongs for the UK.
not really. I thought there would be more choice. So
Uh,
I was, easing up my mind. I was reading my words up about those matters. Yeah.
yeah.
But
So that's something that you have to remember in the UK is charging ports.
yes, everything else, as long as you have your phones and internet connections, um, you can find new clothes, find new blankets, new pots, and pretty much everything. But if your phone dies, I think it will be difficult to survive from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, I guess that actually leads on to our next question. So, were there some
yeah,
difficulties you encountered in the UK? I guess that was one of them, wasn't it?
definitely. It was definitely one of them. And then difficult part is that, well, once I don't have that things, socket, I need to go and find a store. But it's really hard to know how to predict or know it beforehand. What do they sell? Because, for example, a shop like convenience store, they have something else that we don't really have at the convenience store in Japan or US. And it's vice versa. Some cases I think, oh, they must have these items at the convenience store. They don't have it. So that there was some adapting time for me to know exactly about the cultures or, the
Oh,
shoppings.
you didn't really know like where to look for the things you need.
Yes.
Uh, Personally, I think the only difficulty I had was to get along with my roommates.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Oh,
so the thing was that um I had five other roommates and
mm,
two of them were great. Like we are best friends. And the other three, However, they have the worst hygiene ever.
Mm,
So
mm.
they would use my kitchen utensils without asking, not washing them afterwards. They would cook hot pot, you know. They once cooked hot pot um a day before the winter break. I had already left, and they just didn't dump it away. They dumped it into the trash can and left it there for the entire winter break. So that was 1 month of a hot pot sitting inside the trash can. And I was the first one to come back from the winter vacation. So the smell was horrible.
What? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, that's shocking story. Oh my God. Yes, I knew this gonna happen because I had similar experience back in my apartment in the US, and you know, not like that's I don't even have to elaborate that. But yes, hygiene trouble is common difficulties that I think students do share house would come with uh face with. Yeah, so that's something that they need to, what they say, what people can do about this.
Uh,
Like,
honestly, it
mm,
was really hard solving this because, we had our own. It was actually them that set up the rules. So they were like, okay, everyone will have to throw. So on Mondays, room A will throw the trash. On Tuesday, room
mm,
B would. They were the ones who set up that system, but then they just gave up. They just didn't want to do that. It was really hard having to deal with this. We tried having a residence counselor come in to solve
oh yeah.
this. Except my roommates wouldn't show up to the meeting. So I think in the end, we just had to keep reporting them through the apps. We had like a little um we had an accommodation app where you can report people for like, noise and such. For the trash we just had our own bin in our kitchen. So every time we go to the kitchen, we'll bring our own bins, throw our own trash, and then bring it back to our rooms. So we just stopped using the trash cans in our kitchen since they
Mm,
didn't want to throw it. Yeah, I really think the
yeah.
college experience is determined by your roommates, really.
Yes. This is something that might be strange to hear this, but something that I like about living abroad is that to know the varieties of peoples, including their hygiene level as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it is
yeah, it
like
makes
the
me
unique experience
yeah,
about
it
it.
is very unique experience. It makes us really realize about the diversity of peoples and opens our mind about how people perceive things in a way that we really don't. And then I had a lot of these experiences now then back in many places. So one time my friends used my spaghetti dish for the dog bowl without asking me. But
For
yeah,
a dog bowl.
yes, for the dog food bowl. Yes.
Oh, so they had a pet,
Yeah,
or
that was a low apartment, yeah, with a pet. But yes, that's it's something
well,
that's
that's really unacceptable.
yeah, but like from the like I say from the point of view about the hygiene, well, that can be only gross. But when I actually think about what do they really like feelings or what's their idea is, well, I really realize about their different ways of thinking about like, for example, if I do bad things for them, I think they wouldn't mind at all because that's their standards. I wouldn't do it because I feel bad for doing it. But that doesn't mean I would do it. But it's just about how, so there's something that we cannot really change about life. For example, like when we go to the other cultures, right? There's so many things that we cannot change about it in the world, but only ourselves have to change to adapt to the situations.
Yeah,
So that way,
yeah,
it's train, us from inside how to deal with the difficult situations, isn't it?
yeah. I guess it's like growing up.
Yeah, it's like growing up.
Yeah.
That's a part I like really a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
meeting new people, realizing
Yeah,
that they might
different
have
values.
different living styles. So a part of the uni experience.
Yeah.
All
Mm.
right, so let's move on to our last question, which is,
Sure.
did you gain any practical skills? If so, when and how?
I think, well, in practical say, do you think what I said before about the adaptation skills practical? Well, it's sort of, but
I think so.
well, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, it is. It's, studying abroad will really change our life in many ways. Uh, Being able to speak in English is definitely one of the practical skills, but not many people would think of, for me, because a lot of people can speak English beforehand, going to their prior countries. But for me, it is English. I think if I said practical, yeah.
Uh,
What about you,
yeah, and
Marvin?
it's also, yeah, I think the practical skill I learned was learning how to write the a formal academic essay.
Mm,
Um, otherwise, I think a practice otherwise, I think a practical skill I really learned was to live independently.
mm,
Yeah, you have to learn how to schedule your time efficiently, what times for studying, what times for like societies. Uh, you have to learn to cook for yourself. There's because there's no one looking out for you. You have to learn to be independent. You have to learn to uh you have to yeah, that's basically it for me, I think.
mm. I think it's indeed most useful practical skill ever, because everywhere you go, um we cannot take many things with us, whatever we troubles, but we can take us at least, right? So that we are always together with our stuff, and then as long as you have your good yourself, you'll be fine. I think whenever you go, yes,
Yeah, I think that's really well said. So, Utah, do you have any advice for prospective students?
yeah, sure. I think there are many advices that I can pick from many things, but if I just chose the best one, is that do what you really like to do from your bottom of your heart, and then just try. Yes, it sounds really simple and it's difficult, and then think about what's the meaning of it. I think that's the advice for me. What about you, Murray?
Uh, for me, I think it's to not be afraid of trying new activities. Because in college, in university, there's just so much for out there for you to try. There's so much opportunities out there. So you have to learn to look for them. Yeah, and who knows what these opportunities might lead to. Yeah. So be don't be afraid to try new things and meet as many people as you can, I think. Yeah.
Mm, mm, absolutely. I think so as well. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it, Marvin.
Yeah, I think we can wrap up our podcast. So thank you
Yeah.
everyone for listening.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you.